Hi, it's Rich Hoffman here. So what do I think about the UFO that was spotted over Westchester, Ohio, right by Tazeville Road, very close to where I live? I think it was November 22nd, right before Thanksgiving of 2025. So it was a UFO, big giant square type thing, about the size of a football field. Had some depth to it a little bit, but it was mainly about the size of a football field floating around in the sky over a very densely populated area, Westchester, Ohio. A couple people reported it. They reported it onto the New Fork UFO sighting database, case number 19437-307, and about 5:02 in the evening, right over rush hour type traffic. So it's two observers, dash cam. They got a little footage of it. Here's a picture of it. See it there? Just kind of looks like they thought it was a banner flying, being drugged by a plane, but there was no plane. So it just kind of cruising along. When you see advertisements like at stadiums or maybe a blimp flying in the air. But this is a perfect square, and it's just kind of hanging out there. It had a blue-gray color to it. And again, that was caught on dash cam. And they didn't get video of this one. But 8 years prior in Monroe, just down one exit down, same flight trajectory in the sky, essentially. And it's on YouTube. But really, regionally, they're very close to each other. But it's the same type of craft flying around, same kind of UFO reporting, UFO being not identified. So what do I think about it? Now, I'm right where I'm at the Old Soresville Lake amusement park. This is a park now, but it used to be an amusement park, kind of like Kings Island back in the day. And I have famously reported a UFO right over there in the sky. It's about 500 yards from where my position is here. There was a UFO that had come after I had called for one to come. So, and my thoughts on that specific UFO sighting, it happened, if you look it up on YouTube, it's the Middletown UFO, I think a couple years ago, 24. But right over here, and I had dared one to come and land, because I was having a CIA discussion, and I said that I think the CIA is more of a threat than aliens. So I said, if aliens came and landed right here, then I would get out and talk to them. I might even offer them a job. But the UFO then, a couple days later, appeared right in the sky right there, and it was very defined. Had rotating lights, hung out right over the highway, just like this one did. And it was there for appearances. And then it took off quickly to the north, this direction, and disappeared very fast. And my first statement on it, because obviously I felt I had a role in it, whether you're talking about occult types of circumstances where you're conjuring up things that are interdimensional and sort of hanging out, or whether you have a government that's out of control and doesn't have any government oversight, who's all of a sudden using these projector technologies to, create some sort of mind control panic among a citizenry to hide some other clandestine activity. So if everybody's talking about UFOs, we're not talking about the other things, whatever those things may be. So they have projection technology that kind of lets it hover right there in the sky, and it draws attention, and off it goes. And it may not have been anything at all, but just a projection. You have these drone shows these days. They're very effective. So it's hard to believe anything you see. So what do I think this UFO was over Westchester, Ohio? Because it's the same kind of thing. We're in the same kind of airspace, and we're all within the proximity of Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, which is just a little bit north of this location, 30 miles or so, 35 miles or so. And so this big square floating around in a very densely packed area, and only two people reported it. But again, it's on dash cam. So you have evidence of something floating around, people don't always look up and say, oh, what's going on up there? Oh, I see some flying object. But I think, again, the explanation for it probably isn't little green men looking to land and change the nature of humanity. It's likely an experiment of some kind. My offering would be that it's testing technology that is been in the works at somewhere like a Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. You put up some anti-gravity thing floating around. It's a great way to get things moving around if you can turn off gravity and manipulate things to your advantage. And then see if you can have a cloaking mechanism that can make it disappear, because this thing floated around in space, get 10 minutes or so, enough time to get everybody looking in its direction, get dash cam footage to get someone to report it, and then to indicate what happened next. And is it your technology, or can you convince mass society that an event occurred? In this case, this thing floated for 10 minutes and it just disappeared. I think that's anti-gravity technology being tested from an Air Force base like Wright-Patterson. And what you want to do is do it during a dense holiday traffic, and then see if you can turn the cloaking device off and see if anybody notices. See if anybody notices a residual effect of its presence in airspace. And of course, the report was a couple people saw it. A couple people reported that it was there for about 10 minutes. They indicated the size and flight path, trajectory, the conditions of it, and then it disappeared. And I think if you're a military experiment trying to see what the public's going to react, you're not going to put a memo out and say, hey, public, we're going to test some technology. What do you think about it? And they may or may not be interested in participating in the experiment. But if you do it by surprise and you get people thinking about it in a way that they're not prepared for it, you're going to get an honest reaction. And I think in the test bed of these kinds of experiments, why would you fly something that you're trying to keep concealed in the middle of the day when it's busiest driving around before a holiday weekend? And the answer to it is you wouldn't. You want people to see it. You want to get a public reaction. You want to see if the testing of that technology has an effect, and that is, can you disguise it as a UFO and get it reported as a UFO? But as a technical survey, did it do what you wanted to do? And I think in this case, you have a very large flying object that is hovering around in ways that people don't understand flight to work. It's a big giant box, cargo container flying around in space, looking like a banner being dragged by an airplane, but there's no airplane. So you have propulsion technology that's unique. You have totally something that's not aerodynamically proficient. A big giant box is kind of floating around the size of a football field, and then it disappears. So it cloaked. It had a cloaking mechanism that allowed it to conceal itself, and that is something that if you're trying to test the behavioral conditions of a mass population, that's how you do it. And that's what I think it is. So when you have the reports go out there and it's an unidentified flying object doing its thing, how do you test the premise of something that you're trying to test its technical viability? I think that's what you do. And I think most UFO sightings are along those lines. Now, do I think that there's occult elements of UFO interaction, and that technology is acquired from those experiences? Yeah, I do. I think it's an explanation for a lot of things that occur in the world, but most of the UFOs that do happen are likely those kinds of scenarios where they're put out there to either steer people's minds in a direction that a government in power wants to achieve, especially if we're operating with black budgets, and you show that you can divert people's attention. It's like a magic show. Hey, look at the rabbit in the hat. Don't pay attention to the hole in the table underneath the hat that the rabbit's going to disappear into. You just look at the stuff they show you on stage. And UFOs have for a long time been used as a diversion tactic to keep people from really getting into the details of the world that's going on around them. And in the case of testing new technology, if you're trying to do a report, you put something up in the sky that defies all known logic. Most people will write it off as something that doesn't belong there, and they'll paint it out of their mind. But in the case of 400-some thousand people who are in the general region looking up in the sky, 2 people saw it, recorded on a dash cam, got a still photo of it, reported it to the UFO logging site, and then also reported that it did what probably was planned to do, and that's disappear. It hovered in the sky for a bit, and it disappeared instantly. And that's a good test subject for probably what the whole point of the experiment was all about, to test technology in a densely packed area during a holiday period in conditions that would give you favorable results on whether the technology works or not. I think that's what you find with a lot of UFO sightings, and that's probably what is going on with this one in Westchester, Ohio, north of Cincinnati, where I live. And so it's something to talk about when it happens in your town. You want people to, you want to have a discussion about it because it's news, and it's unusual activity, but I don't think it's something where we're preparing for War of the Worlds and this giant cylinder ship's going to come down and unleash a bunch of alien tanks that are going to destroy the world in any kind of way. It's likely advanced technology that's being tested to public reaction to see if cloaking mechanisms can actually be affected, impact viability under real use conditions, disguising anti-gravity technology, and whether you can move large container vessels around in space environments in the air without people knowing it. And I think in this case that's was a successful test. So that's what I think it was, a UFO over Westchester, Ohio, 2025, November. Anyway, it's Rich Hoffman here. Share, subscribe, make tomorrow a better day. If you haven't read my book, The Gunfighter's Guide to Business, I think you'll love it. Anyway, have a good day. See you later.